Oh, you're the best friend that I ever had. I've been with you such a long time. You're my sunshine, and I want you to know that my feelings are true. I really love you. Oh, you're my best friend. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley and Richter deep in the bowels of our underground lair, setting up shop right next to Tony Bobulinski and taking it to the what are they? Yeah, the Justice League of the Hall of Evil. I don't know.
You've got me on that. I don't know.
Whatever. Here we are.
Okay.
Yes.
The song.
Yes.
As I'm sitting here scrolling through Twitter, I have, and I didn't call it tweetering this time.
Yes, that's good.
Twitter. You're my best friend. I can totally hear it. Okay, I've heard the song, but I don't know who the hell sings it. Give me the initials, see if I can get it.
I can't do that because I'll give it away.
Give me the last letter of the first name.
Last letter of the first name. Or
is it a band name?
It's N.
That's the last letter of the first name.
Mm-hmm.
What's the last letter of the last name? That also N?
Should we play Hangman on the air and see if you can get it?
I'll buy a vowel. Buy an E. Come on, Vanna. Turn it or hit it. What do they do now? They bang it now.
Yeah, is that what they do? That doesn't even turn.
It doesn't. Are they still on the show? Is Sajak?
Is Sajak
still? I don't
know. I mean, I'm still in the under 65 crowd by quite a ways. So
yeah. Okay. So you don't watch the nightly news either.
No.
Okay. Okay, Jay, lay it on us.
Queen.
Oh, forget.
Yeah.
Well,
You're My Best Friend by Queen.
Well, that I know those guys though.
Yeah.
I know the one guy. And then the other guy, so I kind of know that. So I think I'll give myself 1/5 on that one because I know who they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's the lead singer?
The guy who the guy who died. He had AIDS. They did the Africa thing, right?
Yeah, the whole band.
Live
Africa
Aid
thing. Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
Okay, that's not his real name though.
No.
It's Najee Mustafa or something like that, right?
What?
I don't know. I saw the movie, okay?
I did not see the movie yet.
Yeah. Bohunks or something like that. Yeah, I saw the movie.
Yeah, so that was You're My Best Friend by Queen, and we're going to be talking about some people that are real cozy together.
With
Later
you,
on.
maybe.
No,
maybe with
not
you.
with me.
Jake?
With each other. Yes.
Breaking news.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sitting on the edge of my seat.
And I look, we're 2 weeks from a presidential election,
yes.
and an election of a lot of other things too on the line, namely state houses, redistricting, permanent mail-in balloting.
Yep.
I mean, never let a crisis go to waste.
Right.
And COVID is the crisis. Mail-in balloting and ballot harvesting will be the legacies of it. That's my prediction.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned Mr. Big Lebowski or whatever his name is in the.
Yes.
Where we're sitting right now.
Mr. Tony Bubblin's.
Let's let everybody know. I mean, we're recording this here right during a presidential debate, right where this story breaks a few hours beforehand.
Right. And that's how committed we are to you. We are taking time out from the presidential debate. We will go back and watch it later.
Yes, I have it. Because I have it on TiVo.
We are committed to you, our listeners.
Yeah, there's Thursday night football going on too. I'm sure somebody in my fantasy league is playing. Of course, I didn't even look. But
I watched part of a game this year.
Yeah, how about your Queens? How are they doing so far?
I don't know. I've watched part of a game.
Yeah. I don't. That's more than I wish I would have watched. I can tell you that much. But Jay, this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden story, exposes three things. Okay.
Well, I heard it.
Well, I mean, hear me out. It exposes the former vice president and his son as who they really are, and this isn't gonna go away.
No.
It is exposing the collusion of that with the mainstream media.
Yes.
And remember, I know conservatives and libertarians and independents and whatever you want to label people as have got other venues in the media that maybe 30, 40 years ago they didn't have.
Right.
Whether that's cable news, whether that's talk radio, whether that's podcasts, whatever. But they're still far outnumbered, okay, by the regular mainstream media, which still controls the corporate media, I like to call it, because the traditional media, whether that's print media, whether that's...
And it still has the widest audience, I would argue,
absolutely argue
people
that.
who are not political still go there.
Casual voters.
Yeah.
And then the third scandal is what's going on in social media and the ability of Silicon Valley and the big tech companies to black out and do it through the what do you call it? Arthritis? Or arithmetics? What do you call it? Algorithmetics?
Algorithms?
Algorithms?
Yes.
I know you've talked about that. I don't understand that. But their ability to weed out what you see and what you don't. Their constant promoting of voting early. They're, I mean, and I'd like to know who's subscribing to that. I mean, why is it every time I go on Facebook, there's an ad there on the very, very top trying to get me to vote early?
Yeah.
Twitter, same thing. I mean, it's constantly being promoted.
Right.
So, I mean, you have three different sort of things going on at once. And I think the narrative, if I do say so, if I can dare to make a comparison, because we talk about early voting, we don't know where that's occurring. Different states have different rules with that. So I don't know that a conclusion can be drawn. I don't know that comparing it to 2016 is accurate. I know people on both sides. I'm planning on voting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I didn't vote early last time. So I don't know if I happen to be working 14 hours on election day, which is why I'm doing it. Okay, because I work for a living, so I can't make it.
Driving busloads of conservatives to the polls so you can vouch for them.
Yeah, I'm vouching for a bunch of people, living in a mobile home.
Yeah.
But the point being is I don't know how to interpret that. I don't trust exit polls. They're rarely right.
Yeah.
Almost never. So is this, and this is the headline I foresee. And I shouldn't say this because I'm so horrible. And I hope I don't jinx the president here when I say this.
Okay.
Because I know the Palenti people are still mad at me from the primary 2 years ago. But I was right on Amy Barrett, okay, that she was going to be picked. For once, my sources were right. I see this as the Jim Comey story of 2020. Even though Jim Comey has never had a good relationship with the current president, I don't know why he would go out and do his bidding for him. That whole storyline makes no sense, okay? But I know that the Comey is the person who became one of the fall guys for Mrs. Clinton's defeat.
Right.
Are we setting up? I bet you, and you're going to have to tell me this, Jay, because I don't watch those Sunday shows anymore. I don't watch Meet the Depressed or Disgrace the Nation. I don't watch that crap anymore. No. I had to quit doing it before I had a heart attack. What do you want to bet? The narrative starts that if Biden loses, okay, the misinformation campaign, this big Lebowski guy, this October surprise, this hit job, financed by the Russians. The Kremlin brought this guy out here.
Yeah, Adam
Hey,
Schiff,
look, let me tell you something.
Oh,
mainstream Democrats believe that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I saw a poll, and I might have mentioned this on the air, that 2 out of 3 Democratic voters think that the Russians changed votes in the ballot box in 2016.
What?
Oh, look, you watch CNN every day. I can understand how you might think that.
Yeah.
But that shows you where their mentality is. Are we going to be set up for it's all in an effort to delegitimize Trump's reelection? And if he wins, it was stolen, he cheated. But I mean, we're going to hear that. So is this now the Comey story of 2020? Is this story, is the New York Post and all this, is the S going to hit the fan? and their scapegoat.
Yeah.
The what happened? Is that where we're heading?
Yes, but here's the thing: Democrats will whine and cry about it. And I do believe that just based on the trajectory of things, President Trump is going to win the Electoral College, and Joe Biden very well, unless this thing runs like wildfire through the country, will win the popular vote.
Yeah, I told you off the air that a couple of months ago I didn't believe that, but I really think it's a possibility.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. And we're going to go for a little trip down conspiracy land trail here. But not conspiracy theory, because it's out there, and there's a difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory. Now, you've kind of seen the document that I sent you on the Transition Integrity Project. And in their executive summary, and you can read this, it's out there on Google. What do I call them? Transition Integrity Project. Yeah. And you can go right through. They war-gamed each of the different scenarios, 4 different scenarios, and whether it's an ambiguous result in the election, whether Biden wins, whether Trump barely wins, or whether he wins in a landslide. And they've war-gamed each of those things out and what they plan to do to be able to get the things through that they want. Now, ultimately, of course, they want Joe Biden to win. However, if he does not, they have plans in place to throw enough confusion into the system, delegitimizing the election, so that they can change it permanently for the future. And they want to put term limits on the Supreme Court. Well, let me say first, okay,
that's been out there for a while.
There will be violence and there will be riots in the street, because that is part of what is going to show that people think that this was stolen.
Yeah, and look,
and they
riots
have
in the street,
machine to push it out there.
Riots in the street haven't been stopped by anybody
but they're
in power.
Get worse. They're going to get worse.
I think they're going to get worse regardless.
Yes.
I do.
Doesn't matter who wins.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're part of every
Biden
scenario.
doesn't have a backbone. He's not going to do anything about it either.
Right.
So I think I do think, though, if it continues to happen, you're going to see the president take over. I mean, you're going to see, regardless of the consequences, the problem that you're going to have is the governors are in charge of the National Guard.
Right.
And I don't know if the president can send in... I
don't think he will. He hasn't yet.
I think he's reluctant. Look, he's reluctant to use the military.
Good for him.
I mean, he thinks twice about it. But I also feel like at some point, if the Democrats are going to let these cities burn, okay, at some point the president has to come in and say, look, if rapes and murders were being committed and no one was being punished for it, somebody would come in and do it.
Yes.
Okay? And I don't see how committing arson is a felony.
Yes.
And if the local people are not going to enforce the laws, okay, the president's the chief law enforcement officer in the country. And at some point he has to go, okay, look, there's a threat to national security here. If this gets out of control, if the message is being sent that there's no consequences, then I think look, you take an oath to fight people, domestic, and you have to take that seriously. Right. And I commend the president for his reluctance to, because I mean, it's been a long time since we have a president who didn't want to be a cowboy.
Right.
Okay, but at the same time, I mean, you can't let things crumble from within either. And let's be honest, these big cities are so in decline.
Yes.
They've become the Wild West, and what if this goes on for another 6 months, another 9 months? What if we just had a count dismissed to the George Floyd case? The governor had to call up the National Guard. 100 troops. Oh, yippee, Mr. Walls.
Yeah.
Wow, you're a tough guy. I mean, there's 400,000 people in Minneapolis, and you call up 100 National Guardsmen. They're probably all standing around the governor's mansion. But, I mean, the point being that look,
and the Fed.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, at some point this has to get under control, and I don't know what options there are if these mayors and governors won't do their jobs.
Well, and that's the thing. They're not going to be able to control it, and they're going to use this as a bargaining chip, and they're going to say, we can get this to stop, and they'll bring the governors and the mayors in on this because they're all Democrat cities and states. We can bring this to an end. We can let you come in with the National Guard, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what we want.
Well,
And it's going to be making D.C. and Puerto Rico states. It's going to be term limits on the Supreme Court. It's going to be.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with term limits of the Supreme Court. I
think that politicizes it.
Well, but also it also, you know, as long as you get term limits to Congress too, then I'm fine with that. But here's the thing: you want to do it in the Supreme Court, you got to amend the Constitution. You can't pass that as a law.
No, you can't.
So I don't think that's that simple to change.
No, but I mean, it's that among other things. They're
a lifetime appointment.
They're going to threaten Washington, Oregon, California to form something called Cascadia and threaten to secede from the Union.
See ya.
Yeah, exactly.
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Let the door hit you in the ass. You take Hollywood, you take Silicon Valley, you take Gavin Newsom, you take their sorry asses with you.
Yeah.
Go. I am totally fine with that. I'd like to keep Hawaii, though, because I'd like to visit that some day. I don't want a passport to do it.
They don't have very many electoral votes.
But, you know.
That would be fine.
Okay. But, I mean, you want to go create Cascadia, I mean, you go right ahead.
But it's all in there in that document, so go check that out.
Yeah, Democrats seceding from the Union. Where have we heard that before? When they don't get their way.
Civil War, I think it was exactly the same play. But yes, what they're doing, and I mentioned, I think in the last show, is that they're going after the election of 1874, 1874, 6.
A presidential election?
Yes.
76.
Yeah, 76.
Talking about the Hayes-Tilden race?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same plan. And they're not hiding it.
The alleged compromise that happened, which...
Right.
A real conspiracy.
Try to push the vote to the House so the House can decide who the president is and delay. I mean, that's why all of this mail-in voting.
Right, but ultimately it's the electoral vote in December that they can't delay.
Right.
Because states control the electors. Actually, individual districts control their own electors. So they can't stop that. But here's the other thing they can't. They could screw it up for the next election. And see, this is where I think people aren't focusing. Is everything, and I understand it, 12 days we got an election, I get it. But like I mentioned, you've got redistricting on the line. You've got permanent mail-in voting on the line. You've got Secretary of States who, have a lot of authority depending on the state.
Yeah.
To control this. So, I mean... The future elections, to me, are something I'm much more worried about. Because I think these changes will be permanent if you see a Democratic sweep. You're going to see permanent where half the people have voted before Election Day. And we talked a few weeks ago about how that affects the down-the-ballot races.
Yes.
And how the consequences of that outweigh the benefits of it. And so that is where I... really get fearful is about that. I mean, whatever happens in 2 weeks right now is out of our hands.
Right.
What can happen in the future isn't.
Well, and this is what we found in our many years of doing this is that tension builds, election night, everybody breathes a collective sigh of relief or disgust, and everybody goes back to normal life for the next...
Not everybody.
Years. Right. There's a select group of people that go right back to work. And
they perpetually campaign. Yes. You and I are two of them.
Well,
for different reasons. But
right. But it is because that's what they do on the left. They don't take time off. They go right back to work. And and we just sit there. Oh, we're not going to deal with any of this stuff.
It's time to go have Thanksgiving with the family. It's...
and then the next election comes and everything's worse than the last one. And so we've got to this point where we are facing the most, I would say, important election. And I know people throw it around, but I would say it's true of this one since the Civil War.
Wow. That's a statement.
Can you think of another one that's as important?
Sure, 1912.
Yeah, it was important. I mean, Woodrow Wilson...
We're still living with the consequences.
Well, we are. Yes. We are.
Not saying that we won't here.
Yeah.
you could argue 1932. We're still
Well,
living with the consequences of that.
And we are, but I think the stakes are higher this time.
They might be. They very well could be. But
I fully believe that. We'll get into some of that in shows after the election with the Great Reset and things like that.
Yeah,
coming in February. So,
anyhow, Jay, talking about Election Day, the city of Crystal, our beloved, my beloved hometown,
Yes.
still where you live, is we have to, we got to remind people of our home base once in a while.
right. And this is good. Let me just say before we get into it, this is good for you no matter where you live, because we
Right.
have found, as we work with cities all over the place, that there are groups of people that join together and they don't mean well for the city. I don't know if I should name any of them, but
Does it matter? We'll get into it and veer off on that.
okay.
I think that ultimately, though, I think what you're saying is Crystal can be a microcosm of what goes on in another city, another county, another school district, so on and so forth. And it's good to analyze something deeply. We could sit here and touch on 100 different elections and not really get into the weeds. Or we could kind of get into the weeds on a few and kind of just show you what we're talking about.
What we look for.
Exactly. And
People don't know how to research local candidates because there's not much out there.
no, but I'll tell you what you really need to pay attention to is what the candidates say themselves.
Yes.
It's very telling. Now, Jay, you and I both know, okay,
Yes.
that the most important things that a city government does, okay,
Yes.
and in the case of Crystal, it's laid out in our charter, okay, it's not a multiple choice guess, it's not a game of Jeopardy,
Right.
okay, that of what cities are supposed to be focusing on, and that is very simply, it's public safety, that's police and fire protection,
Right.
roads, sidewalks, things like that, parks, maintaining those and all of that, and anything that they're focusing on, and the things that come with that, the capital expenses, the personnel.
I would say maintaining the financial health of the city.
True.
Yes.
I would say that's definitely an aspect of that. And that's pretty much the basics of city government. If we just stuck to the basics of city government, things would be so wonderful, I think.
Yes.
Now, I look at a candidate like a candidate running in your area. Mr. David Cummings,
Yes.
Fabio. I just love that nickname. Wherefore art thou, Fabio? Oh, wait, that's Romeo. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Where are out there? Let's call it Fabio.
He may have nice.
Where
hair
are
than
out
me.
there? Yeah, you both got manes, but
Yeah.
his might be better than
Mine
yours.
is longer, but his maybe a little more wavy. I don't know.
You guys can have that contest if you want to, but I look at David Cummings.
Yes. I wish he was David Goings.
I look
Yes.
at his website. You were so kind to give me one of his lit pieces.
I was.
I was
yes.
still living in Ward 4. It would have ended up at my house, too.
Yes.
And I don't see one word about anything in our charter that we're supposed to focus on as a city.
But why don't you read down some of those things?
Let me just say one
Yes.
thing real quick. What I see is an attempt to remake the city of Crystal into a Minneapolis-like
Yes.
new urbanism type place.
Yes.
Now, first thing I want to say is Mr. Cummings has a couple of videos out there where he talks about systemic racism in Crystal. He doesn't give any examples or anything like
Right.
that. But I'd like to just say straight out, I think it is offensive to say that. I think it is disgusting to call my former city racist in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to make and say something so stupid, you moron, you have an obligation to tell us what is racist about our city government.
Right. Well, he could have made a point of that under a former mayor, but maybe we'll get into that too in a little bit.
You stay in love with her, okay? I'm moving forward,
But,
not backward.
Under the current council that has a black council member on it,
the Republican Ku Klux Klan member.
Yeah. Well, and this fits right in, and maybe we just might as well say it now that our former mayor called him a Republican with REPUBLIKK.
Yeah, I didn't pass spelling.
And 3 Ks in the middle. You're calling a guy that's an African American a KKK
I know,
member.
it's particularly cruel.
But here we have David Cummings, who is aligned with Renee, and we'll get into that later. They're part of the same group. Oh yeah, it says right on there.
Labor endorse the same groups.
It's the same groups. They have their own crystal group that they did recruiting for, and so
there's 6 people. I think there's 6 people. There's 6 people on it.
They're cozy. Here we have. We have an African American council member, and he is saying that we have a racist council.
Yeah, and I challenge Mr. Cummings to speak out against that, and speak out against rhetoric like that. I mean, I wonder if you or I said something like that, what the reaction would be.
Right.
I think we know the answer. It's pretty predictable.
Yeah.
So I mean, but here are the critical. By the way, it says right on his lit piece. These are that's just all messed up from being in my pocket and running through the wash and all that. There are critical times. These are critical times. And we need a responsive, progressive city council that will move us forward. Boy, this is forward thinking, Jay.
It's funny that he's using the campaign slogan from Hillary Clinton, who lost.
Maybe I wonder if he bought maybe the AFL-CIO bought the rights for him or something. I don't know. Establishing and empowering a human rights commission to achieve equity for all of our residents. What is this obsession with the Human Rights Commission?
I don't know.
Mr. Cummings, do you know why we don't have one anymore? Because nobody wanted to effing be on it. And they weren't doing anything. They had no direction, nothing like that. And the council got rid of it and created the Outreach Task Force.
Right. And this is because he's in league with Renee, who was on that, I believe, when they got rid of it, and she's still
I think she was on the environmental one.
She was.
I don't know.
Later, I remember when they told her they didn't want her on the commissions anymore. That's what she was on.
They did not reappoint her anymore.
Yes.
So let's put it that way.
Yes.
Okay, enough off the air giggling. But I mean, what is this? What is this? I'm kind of lost as to what the Human Rights Commission, which veered way away from what it was originally intended for. It doesn't dispute between residents and things anymore. It just became a commission without a direction, without any direction from the council. And I think the council had to do something about it.
Yeah.
You see a commission not working. You look, pretend you own a company, Jay. You see an area in the company not making money, not doing well. Do you sit there and just keep doing the same thing until your head falls off?
You either sell that division off or you
fire everybody. Or and the Outreach Task Force was something that people flocked to. It was full.
Right.
I don't know if it's still going on. It was a task force.
Yeah.
And then look, there are other ideas too, but I'm sorry. If I went door to door to people, how many people? I'd like Mr. Cummings to answer this. How many people have brought up a human rights commission to you at the door?
Yeah, no.
Hey, tell me your concern. Well, it's that Human Rights Commission. Boy, I'll tell you what. Boy, we better get that back, or else I'm moving to Brooklyn Center if we don't do that. I mean, come on.
I've seen minorities get beat in the streets. It's terrible in this town.
Give me a break.
We got to do something.
Now, hear this one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. This is where maybe he references finance because I can't imagine what this would cost. Innovation and policy to move us toward. Oh, Jay, plug your ears. You're going to hear the S word. I don't mean with an it. I mean sustainability.
Yes.
And lessen the city's carbon footprint. We got too much carbon coming out of City Hall.
We got too much carbon coming out of his mailer.
So let me get this straight.
Yes.
You want to lessen. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean solar panels everywhere? Does that mean electric police cars? Going back to the horse and buggy, we just built a new building for the public works. We're building a new one for the police. What is that going to be? Are they going to have? I don't know. I mean, are we going to run after criminals to increase their active living? I mean, what?
What if we bonded for a huge fan to blow it all back towards Minneapolis, where it came from?
I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure he's hearing that at the door too, man.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Hey, that city carbon footprint. Let me tell you something, man. You better get rid of Bigfoot, okay?
Yeah.
And we gotta have less there.
Yeah, there are just not enough bike trails in this town.
Okay, that's the next.
Yeah.
one. That's the next and the third point. Accessible, environmentally responsible transportation options. Boy, this wasn't copied from. Boy, talk about plagiarism.
Right.
Like light rail, additional bike trails, and improved connectivity between cities. Jay, can I answer a question?
I think he copied and pasted that out of the Thrive MSP 2040 plan from the Met Council.
Yeah, and it's already in the draft for the 2050 one. Connectivity between cities. Is there a wall up between Crystal and Robbinsdale or New Hope or
No, I mean, seem to be able to get.
Is that
in
road?
any
Bass Lake
direction I
Road
want.
goes through. Yeah,
They had some construction, but it's done.
Yeah, I mean, is there? What
Maybe
is
he
this?
didn't know it was going to end.
Do people have a problem getting from one city to another? Is that
Well,
they're not a wheelchair lane, or what is it? Is buses? Do they not come to?
No cars for the blind, maybe.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't know.
Additional bike trails. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
All those people. I mean, just mass amounts of people on those bike lanes in Bass Lake Road, Douglas Drive. I mean, you can't even see the houses. There's so many.
Oh. Or not any.
Yeah, you know, you got to rub lemon juice on this. That's what you got to do.
Well, and here's, you know, they talk about wanting to have these bike trails that go and interconnect between all the parks. How many people go on a tour of all the parks of the city? I mean, most people go to get where they're going and they go home.
Well, again, let me back up 1 second. I am all in favor of a sidewalk where it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'd like a sidewalk in front of our schools.
Yep.
I'd like it in front of our malls.
Yep.
And things like that. I'd like it around the parks. I think a sidewalk is needed because people are there's kids out there. But I don't want a sidewalk for the sake of having a sidewalk.
Right.
You know, and to me, to unnecessarily, first off, you end up taking people's property, number one, changing the laws, the setbacks, and we've seen that in other cities too. And unnecessarily do things like that. I mean, there is just no call for it. And we have got, you have got, just I can't include myself anymore, but there's very nice parks in Crystal. There's parks that have completely been redone. And I think to sit there and say that you have to bike from Bassett Creek to Becker Park, you know, without and have a special lane for you to be able to do that. I mean, you can do it just by taking the back roads.
Yeah.
I mean, why can't you ride your bike down instead of driving on a Douglas? Why don't you go one street in?
Yeah.
And ride there.
There's no cars.
I mean, why can't
That's
you
what
do
I do.
that?
I
did it as a kid.
I ride a bike. Yeah.
I mean, I used to ride a bike. I used to ride my bike every day.
Yeah.
Back when I was 13, before I had a 14.
Well, when I was that age, I was riding up Highway 2 in between Duluth or Proctor and Cloquet.
I was taking my bike everywhere, and I just rode on the side roads. Why can't a sidewalk be for bikers and walkers?
Absolutely.
Is there that much traffic there that we can't, that can't be done? I mean, come on here.
Yeah.
Anything more you want to say about
yes,
your future councilman, maybe?
I hope not. This is via news.
I got one more thing after you.
Okay. This is from a news release from the AFL-CIO, and this is verbatim. The Minnesota AFL-CIO I can't read. I'm getting old. Today launched
Tell us something we don't know.
Today launched a pilot program to empower and elect Minnesota union members to public office, putting the state labor federations support behind city council candidates in Crystal and Robbinsdale. The Minnesota AFL-CIO's union member candidate program, based on the New Jersey AFL-CIO's successful model, seeks to elect member candidates from areas with high union density who will champion pro-worker policies on the state and local level. This is someone in the AFL-CIO, McCarthy. We're starting off small.
Joe?
We're starting off small, but our hope over the long term is to build a bench of public officials who came directly from the labor movement, and said Minnesota AFL-CIO President Bill McCarthy. We know that when union members hold public office, they champion our values and work hard to shift the balance of power for working people. The State Labor Federation has designated David Cummings, candidate for Crystal City Council Ward 4, and Sheila Webb, candidate for Robbinsdale City Council Ward 2, as the program's first members. Mm-hmm. Now that was sent to from a buddy of ours down in Shakopee, so thank you for sending that to us. But and
he is a union member in the Osseo School District.
He is, and I don't know. This is my problem with this. These are supposed to be nonpartisan elections. Again, we're not Minneapolis. We're not St. Paul.
We're not ignorant to the fact that these have always been nonpartisan.
Right, but he's right out there. This is a DFL and labor endorsed candidate. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? We have people that you have to serve that are conservative and liberal and in the middle. You have people that work for unions and people that don't work for unions. And if you're going to be touting the union line, if you're going to be touting the Democrat line, you're not busy serving everybody.
Well, and I want to mention something else here about that. He says on his website that he is running to help Crystal and make a difference in my community. I'm ready to be your voice on the city council. Baloney. You're running to push an agenda down our throat.
Yes.
Don't give me this BS that you're Mr. Listener here.
Right.
You've got your agenda. You've got your mind made up. You're intending to push this. You probably have higher political ambitions. So don't give me this crap that you're some sort of riding cowboy here, and you're going to, which he certainly isn't. Okay, you're going to be Mr. Listener.
Yeah.
You're pushing something on us, and be honest about it.
Right. So I want to say, you guys are receiving mailings and whatever. This is state union money. We've had in past podcasts talk about the Minneapolis area Federation of Workers or Laborers or whatever it is, and this is not that. They couldn't get the job done. They weren't able to figure out how to beat us. So they had to get a state federation, state money. This is not even local. This is what's the word when it's being propped up by people from the outside? That's
I don't know. No. You know what it means, though.
Yes.
That it's outside money coming in.
He doesn't care about local stuff. He's taking money from the state to push a state agenda on stuff that shouldn't even be in a city council. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. He's taking what they can't pass up there and trying to pass it down here. Now,
yes.
Okay, we got our second friend.
Oh, is this a long-time friend?
This is a long-time friend. A guy who's run many times.
Johnny B.
Johnny Bizzle, running in WAD 3.
Yes.
And we all know, we've all know that we've had our issues with Johnny. I mean, everything from you getting mentioned at a debate to me exiting the planning commission and all that. But we got the last word in November, I think, that year.
Yeah.
So I'm all right with any of that. Johnny B at
Yes.
votejohnbudziszewski.com. Okay, it's Budziszewski. Budziszewski. And he's got his priorities. I mean, these are just, again, remember what he's tasked to do through the charter, and let's compare that to his top priorities here on from his own website. Number one,
stop being such a crabby.
No, that's not number one. Maybe let's not do what you'd write. Number one, and this is, I don't think there's any coincidence that this is at the top.
Yes.
A $15 minimum wage.
Wow. There goes all of Crystal's businesses.
I don't even know if the city of Crystal pays everybody $15 an hour.
Yeah.
You're telling me a 16-year-old kid at
Probably not.
At the warming house is making that? I highly doubt it.
The person selling concessions at the pool? No.
Yeah.
No, probably.
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate because I don't want to be wrong. But I have never heard of that on the citywide level. But another Minneapolis-style, Seattle-style thing that he would like to bring out to the suburbs. I wonder how many businesses in Crystal know that, that.
Good
because you got to remember, it's not just the people making minimum wage; it's everybody else that will get pushed up if that happens. If somebody at Target, the cashier at Target's making $12 an hour, and the stock guy's making $14.50, if you've got to pay the cashier $15, you got to pay the stock guy $18. Okay, which is going to eliminate a third of those jobs. But I mean, the point being that there's a reaction. That's a loss for a business. I mean, it is. And a lot of these business owners are not gazillionaires. Target's a bad example, but even places like McDonald's, they're franchised.
Yeah, they're not.
There's not an evil. There's not Dr. Evil who's got a Swiss bank account that's right. Running all these McDonald's.
They're probably paying about $12 an hour, if I were to guess, at McDonald's.
Yeah, you know what? It was $4 when I was that age. Okay,
me
quit
too.
whining.
Me
all right?
too. Yes, I remember.
The idea that a 16-year-old kid's making $12 at McDonald's pisses me off.
I started working at Burger King in high school, and I think my starting wage was $3.85.
That might have been minimum wage in 1957. I know. I mean, I'll tell you what.
Word, really?
It's just
Gee whiz.
Back in the Ike days. I know you voted for Stevenson. Here's the thing. I mean, ultimately, a $15 minimum wage is a dangerous thing. It's not a very well thought out thing.
No.
And as soon as you get 15 now, you're going to demand 20 now. You're going to demand 20 to 4. Why not make? I got a question for Johnny B. Why not make minimum wage $5 million?
It will be.
Why not?
It will be. You just wait.
Let's just make it $5 million. Yeah. We're all millionaires.
Yeah.
Well, I would never work.
When we're wheelbarrowing cash to buy bread.
The Weimar Republic. That's. You want an example of what it is? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Number 2. Again, I don't think this is any coincidence.
Yes.
The blue line. Now, we're not talking.
We don't police.
We're not talking about police. We're not talking about blue line versus red line versus green line.
In fact, Johnny was in on that march against the blue line that started in Crystal and got confused and ended up in New Hope.
I think they got confused and ended up in the pond over there or something like that.
They got out to Winnetka, and John, he's on the city council, and he doesn't think to say, "Hey, guys, we're not in Crystal anymore."
Kansas City over here.
Doesn't he know where the border of his own city is?
It can get confusing over there in New Hope, though.
When you're marching against your own police, you're not thinking things through very well. Being on the city council and marching publicly against your own police, that's nice.
Well, I mean, Johnny B, if we didn't think any less of him, we did then. Priority number 3, Jay. So the light rail, big priority for Johnny B.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. No raising property taxes for street repair or replacement. Oh, no. You don't favor that.
No.
What you favor instead is a special assessment, which is a property tax increase with interest.
For most people, yes. Because most people don't have $7,000 sitting around.
In Crystal, probably almost everybody.
Yes.
Okay? Maybe a few exceptions.
That is a property tax increase.
That's a property tax increase. That's That's like getting terminal cancer. Okay, it is both and I want to say something too. Remember the 60-40 option that was discussed years ago about having it 60% in assessment and 40% of the budget, which is a property tax increase and a special assessment.
Yes.
He voted in favor of that.
Oh, yes, he did.
So his voting record does not match what he says.
No.
But I mean, what? Oh, hey, if it's an assessment, what? Then it's free? You get that statement? That's not. I'd like to ask somebody who gets that. Like I said before, you want to piss off a group of people. Give them a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 special assessment. It's the only time you will pack the city hall.
Yep.
So you tell me that's what residents want.
Right. And that's
my arse.
That is a hidden tax, as we call it, because it's like, surprise, here it is, and it doesn't show up on your property tax assessment until after you can't afford to pay it. Excuse me. And once you can't afford to pay it, then it goes on your property tax assessment. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. He does not understand how government works.
I don't know if he doesn't understand it, but he's not being honest about it.
Well, there is that too.
If you want to come up and say, look, I think it's better to have an assessment and pay it off over time for whatever reason and make that argument, fine. But you can't claim you're not for a property. You don't increase property taxes, yet you vote for a special assessment for 20 years with interest. That is as dishonest as it comes.
He does have a history of lying.
Whatever.
After all, he said. Well,
here's another favorite.
Yes.
Here's another favorite of mine.
Okay.
Clean water.
Nobody else wants that.
I want dirty water.
Yes.
I demand dirty water.
He does know we get our water from Minneapolis, and there's not really anything we can do about it.
Of course not. Our wells are capped off. We don't have any choice. So,
what's his plan?
Clean water. That's what clean water. I don't know if the shower at his house is from, the Addams family or what. I don't know.
Maybe he needs some CLR to soak the head of the shower. It's just a little lime built up.
I have no idea. But clean water. Hey, clean water?
CLR, if your sales go up here in the next few weeks, call me.
Yeah, we got dirty water here, but we need clean water. Okay, yip zippity doo dah. So again, I just point out no mention of public safety, even parks.
Yeah.
Very little about roads other than lying about that one way isn't a property tax. So, again, not back to the basics. It's about remaking the city with light rail, the $15 minimum wage, and things like that. And we better get rid of that dirty water. And by the way, if he's complaining about he spent 8 years on the council. Yeah. What's he done about clean water?
Nothing.
Yeah, so don't give me this crap that we have. Clean water? What are you talking about? What, does he bathe outside? I don't know.
And when he
Why don't
started
you drive by and find out?
When he started in on the council, he was in the majority. He could have done something about it.
This whole first term.
Yeah.
The majority as you and I define it.
Right.
Yeah, so there, we got him in WAD 3. Now, by the way, if you live in Crystal and you're listening to this and you're not sure what ward you're in, and you damn well better be sure, the top quarter is Ward 4. The middle to the quarter of the top is Ward 3. So we're talking about the northern half of the city so far.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe we should say as well, we're giving these guys such good press, just so that it's just so that it's even.
Even Steven.
In Crystal Ward 3, you can go find Tony Sumnicht. And you can go tonyforcrystal.com and find out what he's about. We're not talking about Tony today because he's not proposing anything crazy like this. And same thing with David. And in Ward 4, it is Eric Wilhelm is the, let me see if he's got a website or not.
I don't know. He does have a Facebook page. I don't know if he has a website.
Yeah, I don't see a website, but Eric Wilhelm, Wihelm. You can go find him on Facebook for a little contra comparison there.
All right.
Okay. Where are we headed next?
We're heading out to the office of mayor.
Mayor.
Where we've got... we have two people running with the same last name, and that's the only thing about this race that concerns me, Jay.
Yeah.
We have Jim Adams, the mayor, who was on the show about a month ago, and you can see Jim's interview. And like you said, he's been on multiple times, so you can go back and check out all the things that we've talked about with Jim.
And he has his own podcast through the city.
Yes, you go to the city website and find that.
All of the stuff that he's been doing.
What's his website? You got Jim's website handy?
Reelectjimadams.com.
All right. And it has so many signs in the city, it's beyond nauseating.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere without
seeing that
Jim
green
Adams
and white.
sign. Yeah.
It's almost like the New York Jets are in town. I should pick a better team. The Boston Celtics are in town.
Proctor Rails.
Yeah, okay, whoever they are. Anyway.
Hey.
And once again, we
alma mater, buddy.
we talked about all of the stuff that what a city is supposed to do. And let's take a look at Steve Adams' platform.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, he does actually kind of mention financing. I'm not sure he understands it all that well. But I want to move on to some other things.
Yes.
I noticed a few things that are similar to what we've heard.
Oh.
Human rights and equity.
Yes.
Steve values the diverse population in Crystal and wants to make sure the government works for all. Okay, sounds like corporate talking points, but what is the rights and equity problem in Crystal? Yeah. I mean, you got to have it's a solution in search of a problem.
It's a great slogan.
If I dial 911, does somebody ask me what my race is, or what my gender is, or what my so what is the government doing there? Like I said before, that can be termed as racist.
Good question.
Yeah,
nobody's been able to communicate that.
No, it's all just. I mean, again, it's this feel-good stuff. Oh, here's a good one, Jay. You'll love this.
Yes.
Community policing. Continued focus on positive interactions.
Boy.
Huh?
I don't know.
Is this where we call 911 we get a social worker?
Maybe. Could be that. Maybe it's just a kinder, gentler police force. Hey, you with the crack pipe, come here for a moment. Hey, Hunter Biden.
I wrote on our blog, this is, I think I'll sum it up this way. I don't think the criminals are too interested in positive interactions.
No.
And I think if you ask an average person, I mean, first off, how do you have safe neighborhoods and retard the police and law enforcement? Now, again, they have to be held accountable. They have to follow the rules. I totally agree there.
Yes.
Okay, but again, what is happening in Crystal? Okay, because that's what you're running for here.
From what I've heard in the interactions that I mean, not that we've had interactions with the police in that way, but just the feedback that we've heard. I know when, again, Johnny B's March to Nowhere happened, there was tons of positive comments about how the police acted with people that were marching against them and how kind they were and that they were super professional.
Well, and look, I don't know everybody's interaction. There's two sides to every story.
Right.
So, to me, you let the courts deal with problems. You let, that's what they're there for. But I don't understand what community policing means. That just, to me, sounds like a shot at our law enforcement there and a implication that they're not. Now, remember, the mayor's not in charge of the police department, Crystal.
Yeah. Nope.
Mayor doesn't hire the police chief either.
Nope.
So I don't know
They
what.
appropriate funds.
Yes, that's their job.
That's it.
They hire a city manager to hire the staff. So it's unclear what that means. Here's my favorite one.
Yes.
Transparent government. By the way, you can go to our blog at communitysolutionsmn.com.
COMM
COMM Solutions, right? We changed it a while ago. So, where I show Mr. Adams where to get what he's asking for here. Transparent government. Make things easier to find on the website. Make finances more accessible. And make meeting minutes accessible. Well, Mr. Adams, if you care to go to our website under the article I just wrote about you and Johnny B and David Cummings, I put the links up there as to where to go there, little Stevie, to find all that stuff. Actually, Crystal's website was just revamped very recently. I think it is excellent.
Yeah.
It's much easier. You can find meeting minutes and agendas, meetings and work sessions going back to 2010 for an entire decade. You can find them. It took me 2 clicks, Mr. Steve Adams. So you know what? That problem's fixed. And if you don't understand city finances, you have no business running for the position you have.
Yep.
How about that? Take that, you 4'7" shrimp. That's what you've got. Well, to put out there that you can't find this crap, if he can't find this, he shouldn't be running.
Yeah, I know.
All right, I went off on a tangent, but this next one's going to piss me off, and I got a suggestion that's going to piss you off too, because he mentions this every time the microphone's on him, and I think he's a religious bigot.
He is.
Separation
He's a Christophobe
of Christ, of church and government will represent the values of all residents, no matter your affiliation or creed. What is he talking about?
Here's what he's talking about. And all of these candidates are hooked in with Renee.
Okay, fine.
Renee,
we all know
Renee
that.
has a problem with one church in the city because one of the council members is a member at the church and another one of the council members is affiliated with the church.
Okay.
And they're part of the cabal that replaced her and her husband and Mark Hoffman.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with the city of Crystal?
Well, it's a personal vendetta. That's the way that she operates.
Okay, but again, that's not what I'm reading.
Right.
Okay, I'm reading that the Pope is running the government in Crystal.
Yeah,
does he cite? Does Mr. Adams cite anything here as proof?
No.
So what is he?
But
don't you think
that is the underlying issue?
If you're going to sit there and try to make somebody's faith an issue, and show me where somebody's faith has led to a decision in Crystal or a policy change.
Yeah.
If you're going to throw out baseless crap like that, don't you have an obligation to show some evidence?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Mr. Adams, are you a coward? Is that your problem? Are you a little coward? You want to put out statements like this with nothing to back them up, just hoping that fellow Christian haters like you join your cause.
Yes, and that's really what it comes down to.
It's sick.
I don't know about David Cummings, but I know about Renee, and I know about Steve Adams, and I know about Johnny B. They're atheists who hate the church. They hate religion.
Which is their right.
That's their right. But you know what?
I believe in the First Amendment.
When you're hostile towards other religions, I'm sorry, you don't get that.
Yeah, and by the way, why is it Christians are okay to pick on?
Well, because
if he came out and said this about Muslims, he'd be shunned by everybody.
Right.
You say this about a Christian church, whatever he's trying to say, and apparently he's too big of a coward to do it.
Yeah.
But okay, fine. But you cannot make baseless accusations like this.
Right.
And tell me, this church in Crystal, what is their political aim?
There isn't one.
So
They're just serving
what are
their
they trying to do?
In fact, when the COVID shutdowns were happening, they were giving out free food, and there were lines all the way down.
Well, Dan, we got to get rid of them then.
All the way down Douglas.
Get them out of here then.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. You can't.
Right, exactly. It's dumb, you know.
The government's supposed to do that. They're supposed to go down to social services.
Yeah.
Then they get their voter registration with it.
Mm.
But I mean, I am offended at that. I mean, I am extremely offended at it.
Yes, I am too, and it bothers me a lot because here you have these people that they don't understand anything about government, really. They don't understand our history. They don't understand how finance works. They don't understand how our Constitution is laid out.
No, First Amendment, our free exercise thereof and establishing a religion.
Right.
That has nothing to do with separation of church and state. That's in writing.
That was a letter from Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist Church, not to keep the church from operating and having influence in the government, to stop the government from setting up and having influence in a church.
But let me also say, what is wrong with a church? How is it any different that a church does something versus any other segment of our society? It's like once you attach religion to it, especially Christianity, there is this just evil backlash to it. Yeah. Why?
I don't know. For some reason, it's okay to make a boogeyman out of Christians.
I feel so bad for this church and their members. I mean, to be picked on the way they are, it's just conduct unbecoming.
Well, and let me say this: if you go to a church in Crystal and you're wondering who to vote for mayor, it doesn't matter where Jim stands. What matters is where Steve stands. He hates the fact that you go to church. He doesn't want your church to be involved in the city. He wants you to shut up and sit down, and he doesn't want to hear from you. He doesn't care what you think. He doesn't care about your values. He doesn't care. He doesn't want you. He wants to be able to enact what he has on his website and what his Democrat masters and union masters are telling him that he's got to do. He doesn't care about you.
But I mean, here's Jay, I don't know, but I know you're a man of faith, and so am I.
Yes.
Atheism, I mean, while you have every right to do that.
Absolutely.
And I support your right to do it. But I got to say, as a voter, I got a hard time voting for somebody who thinks there's nothing to the world other than themselves.
Yes.
I mean, it bothers me. I guess I voted for Jesse Ventura, so maybe I'm not one to speak. He's gone off the rails in the last decade or so, but I mean, he's probably the closest thing to somebody hostile to just religion, generally speaking. That if I voted for Mitt Romney, who's a Mormon, I don't exactly agree with them. I wasn't, I was open mind when it came to him.
I did not vote for Romney, but it didn't have anything to do with religion.
Okay, well, whatever. I mean, I voted for people who were Catholic. I voted for people who of color. But I'll tell you what, a devout and open atheist is honestly something that it's almost up there with the national popular vote to me as far as a disqualifier. If you're non-denominational or whatever. I mean, to not believe in anything past this earth, just tells me your moral compass. And I don't mean your position on abortion. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I don't know how you reconcile somebody who doesn't believe in morality.
Right.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you have a hard time with voting for somebody who's just a devout atheist?
I do. And granted, I would have less of a chance as if they were like, this is my position, but I respect and I respect other people's religions. I understand it's important to them. I don't begrudge them that. If an atheist was like that, but so many times it's these militant atheists that end up running that want to do harm to Christianity. And back in our founders,
they want to whitewash Christianity
from the very beginning. I mean, look, maybe I'll touch on this later, but it was John Adams, I believe, right, who said that our Constitution was set up for a moral people, and it is wholly, what was the word he used? Not inefficient, but it did not work for people who are not moral. That is what he said.
I would agree with him.
But that's why we have what we have today, because we have so many people that are not moral, who have gotten into government to seek out power, to seek out special favors, to do special favors for unions, and they are morally bankrupt.
Just they're selfish people.
Selfish people. What they are. And because of that, that's why our government is in trouble. That's why our country is in trouble, because you have immoral people trying to run a moral system, and it's breaking down because they're running it immorally.
Well, and it's just the whitewash of anything that speaks to Judeo-Christian religion. I mean, we all know what the intent of the First Amendment is, Jay. It's not to have no religion in the public. That is not what read the Federalist Papers. It's got nothing to do with that. It's been radicalized and scapegoated. This whole thing about an establishment clause.
Yeah.
Go look at history back in the Middle Ages. Mm-hmm. That's establishing a religion.
Right.
Okay? That's what that is. Not having a manger scene at a community center.
Yeah, it's the government telling you, this is the religion that you're going to follow.
And if you don't, off with your head.
Right. And again, I'm maybe going to go to this later, but I'll tease it now.
You're not going to go to it later because I'm closing you in a minute.
Back at the end of when the settlers first came to this country, you had Jamestown and then you had Plymouth, and in Jamestown they came because it was an evangelistic trip for them. They wanted to spread the gospel.
That's right. My great-great-great-grandfather, captain of the Mayflower, Adolphus Richter III. Yeah, go ahead.
Really?
No.
Word. No, I didn't believe you. But with the Mayflower, they came over here. They had first, they were the Separatist Church of England, or the English Separatist Church. And they were so unwelcome in their own homeland, they had to go to the Netherlands. And they were welcome there, but it's like nobody speaks English, whatever. So they came here because they were unwelcome. It is religious liberty, religious freedom that has been the foundation of this land since day one.
Well, Jay, you could give a good history lesson on that, but I'll tell you what. You want to find out more about Mr. Adams, if you dare, where do you go, Jay?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Just trust us here. Go to Com Solutions.
I'll link to all of their websites in the blog for this.
There already are under my post the other day.
You'll find them.
You can go to the blog and you can. I take things right from their blog, folks. I mean, they call me dirty. They call you dirty.
Yeah.
All we do is put what they say. But Steve Adams makes religion an issue in every single venue. You look at every video he does, and all that, he keeps mentioning his hostility toward people of faith.
Uh-huh.
Not a disagreement.
Right.
Because if it was over policy, you'd hear about the policy.
Yes, there's no policy.
Yeah. But you sure welcome everybody, my arse. All right, Jay.
I just want to add, if one place where you won't find any information about these candidates is in their campaign finance reports.
Oh, really? Nobody's filed anything? I'm shocked.
Actually, David Cummings is the only one of those three that has filed anything this year. And
well, of course, he had to report his union money, right?
That's not on there. The money from the local DFL is in there.
A couple $100
self-contributions and $100 in small donations.
Oh, so he has. So. I guess people don't want those bike lanes and those electric police cars that bad.
Yeah, and then So we'll have to see what comes out after the election. I find it hard to believe. Maybe I don't find it hard to believe. I haven't seen anything around town from Johnny B. except maybe 3 signs, and same for Steve Adams, maybe 7 signs. And I have got no lit at my house. Of course, I do have a Jim Adams sign in my yard, but
Well, I mean, if it goes to everybody, you'll get it anyway.
Right.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see what you never know where the ballot's going to bounce. And I mean, with only one of those races having a primary, We should say Nancy LaRoche, who is running in Section 1, has an opponent, but I don't know who the hell it is or what they're doing because they're nowhere in sight. They didn't show up for the debate the last week.
Really?
No, Nancy had the floor to herself.
Well, that's good.
And whoever that, I don't even know his name, doesn't matter, has not done anything that I can see as far as submitting profiles or anything like that. We don't have to mention the person's name. No. Why do it if they're not running? There's no point. So,
which is good.
That's fine. So, Jay, another show in the books. And what do we welcome when that happens?
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are.
Community Solutions, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Me, Andrew Richter, present to the public the King of Sting. Oh, you're recording this?
We'll see.
Sultan of SWAT. I don't say that lightly. You know what a Babe Ruth fan I am.
Yeah.
The Master of Disaster. Suffering of Succotash. Roddy of Piper. Jet flying, limousine riding. Wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. With the sign-off sermon. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Jason Bradley.
Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, we have a decision to make in just a couple of weeks. By the time you get this, it's going to be pretty close to a week, where we are going to decide finally, who do we want? I mean, all this energy is wrapped up around the presidential race, but we better not ignore the down ballot races either, because let me tell you, those people someday grow up to be state senators and federal senators and House members and presidents. So it's up to us now to know who we are voting for, because if we don't, they get to continue doing bad things, and then they get to the higher levels of government and they do even worse things. They take union money, they do things that aren't in your interest. But you know what? It takes us being excited about our responsibility. We may not love a candidate, but we have to see exactly what is about to go down in this country. We are in a place where we have our backs against the wall. We stand to lose every inch of freedom that we have held up to this time.
Praise the Lord.
Absolutely. Because let me tell you something.
L-O-V-E, love.
All right.
All right, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
There's a moment's getting me.
I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of people who do not understand our government. That they do not understand how our government works, how it was formed, the history behind it, the history behind that, where it was taken from originally. They don't understand what the goals of government are. They could give two craps about the Constitution. Well, you know what? In this country, we do not elect kings. We do not elect queens. We do not elect princes. What we do is we elect stewards of our Constitution. They are elected to keep and serve and protect our Constitution. And if they can't do that, they don't deserve to be in office. And I'm tired of people making up the rules as they go along. You know, there's scripture in 1 Samuel that says, rebellion is the spirit of witchcraft. So when we rebel against the Constitution and decide that we're just going to do our own thing, it's as if we're rebelling against everything that we have built and putting a spiritual atmosphere over the air that brings nothing but harm to us, because it changes our attitudes. It makes us hostile towards each other. You know, not to get too religious on everybody, I realize, not a religious show, but there's some things that we get wrong. 1 Corinthians 13, it talks about being obedient to the governing authorities. The governing authorities of this land is the Constitution. It's not a president, it's not a governor, it's not a city council person, not a school board person. It's the Constitution. So if you're going to rebel against the Constitution, it talks about that. You rebel against the governing powers, you can expect that bad things are going to happen to you. So what do we see everywhere in our country? We see sickness. We see war in our own streets. We're on the brink of a civil war. And we see lack. We see shortage. Remember toilet paper, anybody? And throughout history, we see those things. Anytime a country has become unmoored from its moral standards, it deals with sickness, it deals with war, it deals with famine. We're no different. We're no better. You know, this whole America First thing, yeah, I happen to believe in that. We got to take care of our country. But we're no better than anybody else. We don't get special privileges when we go do what we want. So, we've got to come back to the heart of things. We cannot continue to go down this path because it won't end well for us. And sure, we might be able to preserve what we have for 4 more years if we end up on the right side of this election, but what do we do in 4 years after that? What do we do in 4 years after that? You tell me these globalists or these anarchists or these, all these people who desire to remake America in their own image aren't going to eventually win some election somewhere down the line. Not if we don't put it down now. So we got 4 years. We got an election coming up. What are you going to do? You're going to breathe a huge sigh of relief or disgust on the day after, move on with your life? Or are you going to decide, you know what, I'm willing to sacrifice my comfort, my fortune, and my sacred honor, and I am going to put myself into the fray, and I'm going to make sure that this land becomes so much more than what it is now. I'm going to make sure that we are restored to our former glory. I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can to love my neighbor and to live a moral life in which government does not become the king of the people. Government becomes the servant of the people. I know the other side's going to tell you, oh, we serve the people. Look at all the money we supply. Look at all the aid we supply. Look at all the human rights groups that we're setting up. Look at the equity. But then that's only half of a picture. It's not true peace. It's not true honor. Because the way they do it, in order to honor some, they tear others down. We have to do this differently, America. And it's up to you to become warriors. No, not to pick up rocks and stones and bricks and burn things to the ground. That's not how we do things. It is to stand up for what you believe and be immovable. No matter how hard they push, not to move your feet and say, you are not moving things 1 inch in my direction. I'm going to stand. And when I can, I'm going to move forward. But I'm going to stand at the very least. That's what it's about. We got, from today, a week and a half, I guess. Yeah, week and a half. So, I hope you've done your research. I hope you know who you're going to vote for. If you're thinking you're not going to the polls, wake up. This election is too important to miss. And because people stay home, evil wins. Evil triumphs when good men do nothing. Edmund Burke said that. But also to do nothing in and of itself is evil. I believe Dietrich Bonhoeffer said that. So don't be evil. Don't stay home. Don't check out. Be a patriot and stand up, cast a vote. And then the day after that, take a day off. But then it's to get back to work, to restore this country. Get on an advisory commission. Think about running. If you live in a city with an odd-year election, if you live somewhere where it's not for 2 years, start putting the plan together. Start thinking about it. Start praying about it. Start considering it. Because we got 4 years if we win this thing. 4 years to build up our defenses and get ready for the onslaught that's coming after us. Just sit with that in your smokestack for a week. We got another podcast coming at you very soon. And we want to be here for you and help y'all out in your communities. But guess what? We can't do it alone. So we need your help. You can get a hold of us anytime at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's COMM solutionsmn@gmail.com, and we will be more than happy to tell your tale if something's happening in your city, to answer questions, to help get you motivated, to get you into the system. That's what we do. And I'd say we're not too bad at it. We got a pretty decent record, so get a hold of us. All right. Till next week, fight hard, stand tall, and don't be moved. We love you, Minnesota. And now it's your turn to get to work.
Get to